Hi, I'm coming on here for all you dog and cat parents to share my horrific experience that I took my very sick dog to a vet, and 24 hours later, I didn't have her anymore. I'm sharing this with you so you can learn from my experience and hopefully this doesn't happen to you. So a little bit of background, and I'll try to make it kind of quick. I had a 13-year-old Bichon that at 5 months, with the good graces of my vet back then, told me to home cook, and I home cooked for her entire life. I home cooked for my other Bichon. 14 years of his life, he lasted 16 years. And I've studied basic canine nutrition, and I do all the right stuff. I keep a toxic-free home, and as much as possible. I don't have her do flea and tick, and I do reverse osmosis water, and she was getting grass-fed, grass-finished liver. She had the best, because that's what I was trying to do, was to have her live a long and healthy life. She never went to the vet. I had to take her when she was around 6 years old because we had to go to the emergency because a vet back then gave her a leptospirosis vaccine without my consent. I didn't even know about it, and came home and she was just like so inflamed and swelled up and vomiting like crazy, and took her to the ER. We found out that white little dogs with pink skin have very bad reactions to leptospirosis, and we were told if she ever got that vaccine again, she would go into kidney failure. And by the way, I live in Virginia. I had the Board of Health in Virginia. I reported the vet, and the vet had to pay all my fees with a personal check. And, she just went for well visits every year. I always did her blood work every year. I have copies of all her blood work. There were never any red flags in her blood work. She had blood work last April for a well visit. It was wonderful. And then this past August, which is 5 months from when I'm speaking, 5 months previous, she did go in to get a lymphoma removed. That was, it wasn't really, she wasn't sick at all. It was an elective surgery that I wanted to do. There was nothing, it came back, there was no cancer or anything. And at that point, also, her blood values were great. Okay, so what happened and what do I want to share with you? So, looking back at all my videos, it's great for documentation. And it was January 31st, which was a Tuesday, and she wouldn't eat her food, which was like, she's never not ate her food. She just licks her bowl clean. And so I kept an eye on that. And okay, so that was what, Monday? No, it was Tuesday. And then Wednesday, she still wouldn't eat, so I just gave her made some fresh ground beef. I gave her some salmon, and she ate very, very little. I had her up here on the table. She just wouldn't eat. So on Friday, I called the vet, and the owner who takes care of Bella, she was not in, so I had to get somebody else. And we went in, we had a 3 o'clock appointment. And I explained to the vet that she's not eating, she's not being herself, she's lethargic. And I left the room because Bella gets very anxious. And I came back in after, and he said, look, there's nothing outwardly wrong with her. we're going to do some blood work. This was a Friday. And he said it'll come back on Monday. And I told him I came into the office on Friday because I didn't want her to be sick over the weekend. Can you do in-house blood work? And he said there's no need for that. He said there was no need for an x-ray. And I said, she's very sick. Can you at least do an ultrasound? I knew there was something wrong with her. And he says, there's no need for that. She's not showing any signs. And he just sent me home with an appetite stimulant. And he said, he would call on Monday. So I gave her that appetite stimulant. She wouldn't even open her mouth. I gave it to her like in water because she was drinking water. And I just had a little bit of water, put some bone broth in it, very little, to make sure she got that appetite stimulant. And all throughout this, she was drinking water. Not excessively, but drinking water, which was unusual because she never drinks water because I always home cook for her that has a lot of moisture in it. So Saturday morning, it was just, she just really deteriorated. I could tell in her eyes, she was telling me something. And she was also like talking to me that I think back now when I would always pick her up the past few days, she would be, I guess she was, whimpering. But Saturday morning, I knew that she was in pain because her back, was hunched. And that's a sign of pain. And her back 2 legs, instead of being parallel, they were like this. And I was like, what's going on with her? So I called. So the problem was now, my vet's not open. That's the problem too. So now I had to bring her to an ER. And I brought her in and they took her right back. The first thing they did is they took her temperature. The vet, less than 24 hours earlier, did not take it. And I confirmed that with the vet tech. They just didn't do it. And she had a temperature. And they said, look, here's the plan. So they had a plan. The plan was in-house blood work that they would get back in 30 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, please do that. They had no way of getting the blood work from Friday because the office was closed. So I'm paying for extra blood work. I didn't care, okay? I knew there was something wrong with her. And then they said the next plan would be an x-ray. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And they did notice, though they didn't tell me until later, that there was some fluid around her lungs. But they said, let's look at the blood work. So the blood work came back and the emergency vet said, wow, I'm really glad that we got this blood work done. Her liver values are just through the roof. And I just, my heart just sunk. And she said she needs an ultrasound. And this is what I wanted to do Friday. But the problem was that this vet did not have the right equipment to do the specific ultrasound that was needed. So the ER vet suggested that I start her on fluids in the office and I transfer her to an animal hospital, that she would stay Saturday and Sunday night just getting fluids, and it would be $1,000 a night, and that hopefully on Monday she could be seen next door at the facility that had these ultrasound. But she says there's no guarantee because they're very backed up. So I was thinking, this is a dog that every night for 13 years has slept with me, and I'm going to hand her off to an animal hospital for at least 2 nights. She's not going to be with me, and there's no guarantee that she would get an ultrasound the next day. And the only avenue was for me to bring her home on Saturday and then on Monday call for an appointment for an ultrasound. But she said they're so backed up, you probably would not get an appointment until Thursday. She was saying that putting her in the hospital for $1,000 a night may push her to get an ultrasound sooner than Thursday. And again, this was my baby that always slept with me, and I looked at her eyes and I knew it was time. Okay, I knew it was time. So I got all my son got our whole family on a Google video, and we said our goodbyes to Bella. I'm so glad that they all could have been there through video at least to say their goodbyes, because she was so much loved. And, I held her through the whole thing, which was beautiful. Okay, so that was Saturday night. So on Monday morning, I never told the vet from Friday that Bella had passed. So on Monday, I just calmly called up the vet and I said, could you please send me the blood work? And they did. And all that blood work from Friday was quite high. On Saturday it was a little bit different, but on Friday's blood work, everything was off the charts. And then I waited for the vet to call me. And I missed his call. He called at 12:30. Kind of glad I missed his call, because everything now was on voicemail. And voicemail has a transcript. And I have that transcript. And basically, first of all, he kept on referring to Bella as a he. And basically what he said was, hi, I hope that Bella had a good weekend and she's feeling better. If not, I suggest that you come in to the office, because her values of, I think he may have said liver. I don't know if he said that, but he said her blood values are a bit high from when she was here in April, April was like 9 months ago. And I thought to myself, yeah, April was a well visit and everything was great. And you're telling me they were a bit high? Of course, I wasn't talking to him. And he said, if she's not doing well, bring her into the office, his office, and they would do an ultrasound right then and there. So what I learned from this that I want to share from you here, I'll give you a synopsis. 1, if your dog is sick and it's a Friday, find a vet that is open on a Saturday, okay? Because he told me the blood work would be in the very next day, but the next day was Saturday and they were closed, okay? All right, 2, if your dog is sick, trust your gut. Again, Bella was never sick. I should have insisted on in-house blood work. I should have not trusted the vet. I should have trusted my gut. Had I had done in-house blood work on Friday, we would have found these off-the-scale liver values, hemoglobin that was very low, and the vet then would have said, okay, let's do an ultrasound. I would have had the ultrasound done on Friday right there in the office, and we could have moved forward with a plan. Now, the plan may have been, to help her, or we may have found out that there was something drastically, terribly wrong with her, and I still would not have had her. But his protocol for a sick visit was just totally not right, okay? And I just want to share that with you. So when your dog is sick, you insist on in-house blood work. He told me it was too expensive. Don't do it. The in-house blood work that I had at the ER was basically the same price, okay? Trust your gut. Do not trust your vet, okay? You know your dog. You know your dog, and you know when your dog is sick. So that's my story. And I got to think long and hard if I want to get another dog, because I've gone through so many vets, and it's hard to find a good vet. It really is. So I really needed to think about it. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, that's it.